Welcome to the worship space here at St. Matthew's Anglican Church in Windsor, Ontario. And I'm glad that you could join me for another midweek message. It is Wednesday, September 22nd. I've been thinking about the Holy Spirit. You know, on Sunday mornings in our Anglican liturgies, we regularly say the Apostles' Creed together, which reminds us, in the words of the Creed, I believe in the Holy Spirit. Doesn't go on to explain much more than that. If we want a little bit more information, we need to turn to the words of the Nicene Creed, which we also say, but not nearly as often. The Nicene Creed puts it this way: we believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life. And from the earliest times, the Church has appreciated how God's gifts are poured into our lives. Gifts of the Holy Spirit are bestowed upon us, particularly in the act of baptism. And those gifts are confirmed, some people would say day by day, in our Christian pilgrimage, and maybe especially so in rites of confirmation and ordination. Well, the early church reflected on how the Holy Spirit works in our lives, and it didn't take long for early theologians to come up with a list of 7 spiritual gifts that we are given by the grace of God. 7 spiritual gifts that are gifts of the Holy Spirit, or demonstrations or examples of how the Holy Spirit is at work within us. And I thought we'd spend a little bit of time talking about these 7 spiritual gifts, these traditional understanding of the 7 spiritual gifts, and I will list them in order. They are wisdom, understanding, counsel, fortitude, knowledge, piety, and fear of the Lord. And the understanding is that as these gifts are imparted to us, these gifts of the Holy Spirit, they are not sort of downloaded complete. They are gifts that continue to grow within us as we live lives of faith. And so they grow, they develop, they expand in all areas. So one more time, the 7 gifts: wisdom, understanding, counsel, fortitude, knowledge, piety, and fear of the Lord. And just taking the first gift, the gift of wisdom, that is certainly an area that we could spend hours unpacking our understanding, our concept of what we're actually talking about when we use the word wisdom. You know, the dictionary definition suggests that wisdom is the ability to discern or judge what is true, right, or lasting. The ability to discern or judge what is true, right, or lasting. That's just one definition of wisdom. Wisdom, as I see it, is pretty difficult to nail down to an exact, a precise definition of the word. What do we mean when we use the word wisdom? And I think in that respect, the gift of wisdom, God's gift of wisdom through the Spirit in our lives, is really something that keeps us quite humble. And that's a good thing. Wisdom keeps us humble because we're never able to apprehend it or grasp it, hold on to it. We're not able to measure wisdom or weigh it. There's no way for a person to say, I have more wisdom than the next person, or less wisdom than the next person, because we can't measure it. We can't say that I have 3 pounds of wisdom and you only have 2.5 pounds of wisdom. That's to speak that way is actually to demonstrate a lack of wisdom. It's to demonstrate foolishness. And so throughout our lives, I think we strive for wisdom, we appreciate the gift of wisdom, but we're always left in that position of humility, not really knowing if we fully are in ownership, if we can fully grasp this gift that we have been given, and never completely knowing that it will be there for us the next time we are in search of it. And so this understanding of God's gift to us of wisdom makes us return again and again and again to God's presence and to that stance of asking and praying for the gift of God's wisdom to be renewed and confirmed within us day by day. I'm going to share with you a short fable or proverb or parable that hints at what wisdom might include. This is a short story of an old man who sits in a church for hours on end, completely motionless. And one day, as this old man is sitting in the church for hours and hours, a priest approaches him and asks him, what does God talk to you about in these times here in the church? The old man replies, oh, God doesn't talk, he just listens. And the priest says, well, then what do you talk to God about? And the man replies, I don't talk either. I just listen. I'm not sure if you can appreciate the germ of wisdom in that short story. Wisdom that helps us to appreciate that in our times with God, it's not necessarily all about talking. It's sometimes more important that we listen to the one who listens to us. Some people might call that a little bit of an enigma, a little bit of a mystery, something that doesn't make sense. But I think sometimes that is the best kind of wisdom for us to appreciate. And finally, to draw our time to a close, I offer this short prayer that mentions wisdom. It is known as the Serenity Prayer, written by the American theologian Reinhold Niebuhr, and it is commonly quoted this way: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. My friends, may God's wisdom be a living and breathing and growing thing within you. May you turn to God's wisdom in times of difficulty, in times of confusion or a lack of clarity. And may that gift help you in the work of discerning, in the work of judging, in the work of knowing how to live your life today. And so, God be with you until we meet again.